Your soulmate cried to a friend about your age. Last night, I heard them say. My beloved child. Last night, your soulmate cried to a friend about your age, but the tears were not coming from the reason everyone would assume. There was a moment when they tried to laugh it off, tried to pretend the subject did not bother them, but their voice suddenly cracked. Their friend noticed immediately and asked, "Why does their age scare you this much?" Your soulmate went completely silent. Then came a sentence they had apparently been holding inside for a long time, because I keep thinking about how much time we already lost. That was when the conversation changed. This was not simply about a number. It was about regret, timing, and a fear they had never admitted out loud. But their friend did not let them hide behind that answer. They asked one more question, and your soulmate's reaction revealed there was something deeper underneath those tears. The friend leaned closer and said, "Are you worried about their age, or are you worried you waited too long to choose them?" Your soulmate could not answer immediately. They looked away, wiped their face, and whispered something that exposed the real battle happening inside them. I thought I had more time to figure everything out. Think about those words. More time. Your soulmate had been living as though the connection between you could remain unfinished indefinitely, as though difficult decisions could always be pushed into another week, another month, another season. But recently, something made that illusion collapse. They had started thinking about the years behind you, the years ahead of you, and all the moments that cannot be returned once they are gone. And then their friend mentioned you directly. What happened next was so emotional that even the friend stopped speaking. Your soulmate lowered their voice and said, "What if they think I wasted their time?" That question seemed to hurt more than everything else. Suddenly, their tears made sense. They were not crying because your age somehow made you less desirable. They were crying because it reminded them that love does not come with unlimited chances. They began talking about things they wished they had handled differently. Moments when they should have spoken honestly, decisions they delayed, and feelings they tried to control instead of admitting. Their friend listened quietly before asking, "Then what are you going to do about it?" Your soulmate took a long breath. Something shifted in their expression. Fear was still there, but now there was determination underneath it. Don't skip, because the answer they finally gave was not about walking away from you. It was about a decision they had apparently been afraid to make until last night, and before the conversation ended, they revealed exactly what they intend to do next. What your soulmate said next caught their friend completely off guard. "I need to stop acting like there will always be another chance." There was no hesitation this time. Your soulmate admitted that your age had forced them to confront something they had avoided for far too long. While they were analyzing every possible outcome, real time was passing between you. Their friend asked whether someone had recently said something about you, and your soulmate nodded. Apparently, a conversation days earlier had planted a painful thought in their mind. Someone had casually suggested that you might eventually decide you were tired of waiting for clarity and choose a life where you did not have to question someone's feelings. Your soulmate had pretended the remark meant nothing. Last night, however, they admitted it had been following them everywhere, and what they said afterward showed exactly why. "I keep imagining them becoming happy without me," your soulmate confessed, "and I realize I wouldn't have anyone to blame but myself." Their friend immediately challenged them. If their feelings were this powerful, why had they remained so cautious? That question uncovered another hidden layer. Your soulmate admitted they had worried about how other people might judge the age difference, whether relatives or friends would understand, and whether you might someday see the situation differently yourself. But their friend said something surprisingly simple: you're making decisions based on people who aren't living your life. Your soulmate became quiet again. That sentence hit somewhere deep. For perhaps the first time, they recognized how much outside opinion had influenced something deeply personal. Yet there was still one fear they could not shake, and when they finally named it, their friend's entire expression changed. Your soulmate whispered, "What if I finally tell them everything, and they say it's too late?" That was the fear beneath the fear. Not your age itself. Not other people. Rejection after waiting too long. Their friend did not offer false reassurance. Instead, they told your soulmate that silence was already creating the outcome they were terrified of. Then came the moment that changed the entire conversation. Your soulmate reached for their phone, stared at your name, and apparently started typing something before stopping. Their friend asked what they were writing. Your soulmate answered, "Not another vague message. They deserve to know why I pulled back, and what I actually want." But they did not send it. Something was still missing. Stay till the end, because before putting that phone down, your soulmate told their friend there was one truth about your age they had never dared tell you, and that truth could completely change what you thought their hesitation meant. Then your soulmate finally admitted the truth they had been too afraid to put into words. Their age doesn't make me want them less. It makes me realize how serious this feels. Their friend stared at them, because that was completely different from the story your soulmate had allowed everyone else to believe. For months, they had hidden behind uncertainty, practical concerns, and questions about whether the timing between you made sense. But underneath all of that was something much more vulnerable. Your soulmate confessed that being with you did not feel casual to them. They could imagine real commitment, real responsibility, and a future that required them to stop running whenever emotions became uncomfortable. Your age had become a mirror, showing them that neither of you should waste precious years on confusion. And then their friend asked the question your soulmate had clearly been dreading: so why did you make them feel like they were the problem? That question broke something open. Your soulmate covered their face and admitted, "Because it was easier than admitting I was scared." Suddenly, several pieces fell into place. The distance. The mixed signals. The moments when they seemed ready to move closer and then unexpectedly pulled away. Your soulmate told their friend that whenever the connection became more serious, they started imagining everything that could go wrong. Would other people question the relationship? Would the difference between your stages of life eventually matter? Could they give you the stability and honesty you deserved? But instead of discussing those fears with you, they carried them privately until fear began making decisions for them. Their friend shook their head and said, "You protected yourself, but you left them wondering whether they were enough." Your soulmate immediately started crying again, because apparently that was exactly what they had never wanted you to believe. And that was when the conversation took another unexpected turn. Your soulmate picked up their phone again, but this time they did not begin typing. They opened something they had saved earlier, a message they had written to you but never sent. Their friend asked how long it had been sitting there. Your soulmate quietly answered, long enough that I'm embarrassed to admit it. Then they started reading part of it aloud. The first lines were about regret, but the next sentence made their friend interrupt them immediately. Your soulmate had written, I need you to know that when I mentioned your age, I wasn't looking for a reason to leave. I was trying to understand why the thought of losing more time with you scares me this much. But there was another line beneath it that your soulmate suddenly refused to read aloud. And when their friend asked what that hidden sentence said, your soulmate whispered, that's the part that changes everything. For several seconds, your soulmate simply stared at that hidden sentence on the screen. Their friend waited, sensing that whatever was written there carried more weight than everything already confessed. Finally, your soulmate read it aloud, I'm not afraid that we have less time. I'm afraid I already wasted the time when I should have been loving you openly. Their voice broke before they reached the final word. That sentence revealed why your age had become such an emotional subject last night. It represented every delayed conversation, every moment they chose caution over honesty, and every opportunity they assumed would come around again. Their friend asked, do you actually love them, or are you just afraid of losing them? Your soulmate looked up immediately. There was no confusion in their answer this time. I love them. That's exactly why I'm terrified. But their friend was about to challenge that confession in a way your soulmate never expected. Then stop making your fear their burden, the friend said quietly. Those words landed hard. Your soulmate admitted that they had been watching for signs from you instead of giving you anything certain to respond to. They wanted reassurance before taking a risk. They wanted proof that you would still choose them before revealing how deeply they had already chosen you inside their heart. And your age intensified that pressure because your soulmate knew you deserved clarity, not endless waiting. Something huge is waiting for you, because their friend then asked whether your soulmate would still want this connection if nobody else had an opinion about the age difference. No family voices. No friends questioning it. No social expectations. Just you and them. Your soulmate answered before the question was even finished, yes. Without hesitation. That quick response surprised even them, and it forced another realization into the open. Your soulmate suddenly understood that they had been treating outside judgment like a relationship problem when the real relationship had never been given a fair chance. Their friend pointed toward the unsent message and said, then tell them what you just told me. Your soulmate looked at your name again. This time, their thumb hovered over the screen differently. Not nervously. Deliberately. But before sending anything, they erased several lines and began rewriting the message from the beginning. Their friend asked why. Your soulmate replied, because I don't want them to hear excuses anymore. I want them to hear the truth. Then they typed one sentence, stopped, and read it aloud. It began with your age. But instead of explaining why it had frightened them, your soulmate connected it to a decision about your future together. And the exact promise they started writing next was something their friend never expected them to be ready to make. The promise your soulmate began writing was simple, but it carried everything they had been afraid to say. I don't want another year to pass with you wondering where you stand with me. Their friend read the sentence twice before looking up. This was no longer an emotional confession made in the safety of a private conversation. Your soulmate was talking about changing their behavior. They admitted that your age had awakened a sense of urgency, not panic, but clarity. They could no longer pretend time was something either of you could endlessly spend waiting for perfect circumstances. Then they added another line: if you still have room for me in your life, I want to show you what I should have shown you before. Their friend asked what exactly that meant. Your soulmate's answer revealed that they had already been considering a very specific step toward you. They wanted to speak with you directly. No carefully edited messages. No vague hints. No hiding behind other people's opinions. Your soulmate told their friend there were things they needed you to hear in their actual voice, especially the truth about why your age had affected them so deeply. But then another detail surfaced. Apparently, someone close to your soulmate had previously warned them that an age difference could eventually create complications, and your soulmate had absorbed those words more deeply than they admitted. Their friend asked, "Did you ever ask yourself whether those concerns were actually yours?" Your soulmate froze. That question exposed something uncomfortable. Some of the fears they had been carrying might never have belonged to them at all. They had inherited someone else's doubts and allowed those doubts to shape how they treated you. And realizing that made them angry, not at you, but at themselves. That anger quickly turned into determination. Your soulmate deleted another cautious sentence from the message and said, "I'm done speaking about them like they're a problem I need to solve." Their friend smiled slightly and asked what they would say instead. Your soulmate looked down at your name and whispered, "I'm going to tell them they were never the reason I hesitated. I was." But they still did not press send. There was one final truth they believed deserved to be spoken face to face, something connected to the future they had secretly imagined with you. Their friend asked whether you even knew they had been thinking that far ahead. Your soulmate shook their head. "No. They probably think I've been trying to leave." Then came the sentence that changed the mood completely: "The truth is, I've been trying to figure out how to stay." And what they revealed next about that future was far more serious than their friend was prepared to hear. What your soulmate revealed next was not some fantasy they had invented in the emotion of the moment. They had quietly imagined ordinary years with you. Waking up beside you. Making decisions together. Being present when life became difficult instead of disappearing behind fear. Their friend seemed stunned and asked, "How long have you been thinking like this?" Your soulmate admitted it had been much longer than anyone knew. That was why conversations about your age affected them so intensely. Whenever someone reduced your connection to a number, your soulmate saw something completely different: the future they might lose because they were too afraid to defend it. Then their friend asked whether they had ever pictured choosing someone else instead. Your soulmate's response came instantly: "I tried to imagine it. That's what made everything worse." And the reason it made things worse uncovered another truth they had kept hidden. Your soulmate confessed that every time they pictured moving forward without you, the future looked easier on paper but emptier in reality. There might be fewer questions from other people. Fewer uncomfortable explanations. Fewer worries about whether the age difference would matter years from now. But none of that brought peace. "I kept asking myself what choice would make everyone comfortable," they said, "instead of asking what choice would make me honest." Their friend went silent. Then your soulmate admitted something even more painful. They had started noticing how differently you might have interpreted their hesitation. While they thought they were carefully considering the future, you could have been wondering whether you were unwanted, inconvenient, or somehow not enough. That realization was what brought the tears back. But this time, your soulmate did not wipe them away immediately. Their friend finally asked the question everything had been leading toward: if you could speak to them right now, without fear, what would you say first? Your soulmate looked at the unfinished message, but they did not read from it. Instead, they answered from memory. I would tell them I'm sorry I ever let my fear make them question their worth. And I would tell them their age never changed what I felt, it changed how urgently I realized I needed to be honest. Then came a pause. Your soulmate took a breath and added, but there's something else they deserve to know before they decide whether they still want me. Their friend immediately asked what it was. Your soulmate glanced down at the phone and revealed that the biggest reason they had delayed approaching you was not the age difference at all. Someone had made them believe there was one particular thing you wanted from your future that they could never give you, and last night, your soulmate finally discovered that assumption might have been completely wrong. That discovery left your soulmate questioning months of hesitation. Someone had convinced them that because of your age, you must already have a fixed picture of what your future should look like, and that your soulmate would eventually disappoint you if they could not match that picture perfectly. They had never actually asked you. They had simply believed the assumption, carried it quietly, and slowly created distance whenever the relationship felt too real. Their friend looked almost frustrated when they heard this. So you made a decision for them without giving them a voice? Your soulmate lowered their eyes. They knew exactly how unfair that sounded. Then they whispered, I thought I was protecting them from wasting more time. Their friend immediately answered, but what if the time they wanted was with you? That question seemed to stop your soulmate cold, because suddenly the sacrifice they thought they were making looked completely different. For the first time that night, your soulmate began separating what you had actually said from what other people had assumed about you. They remembered conversations where you had valued honesty over perfection. Moments when you seemed more interested in emotional consistency than appearances. Small things they had dismissed at the time suddenly carried new meaning. Your soulmate realized they had been preparing themselves for a rejection you had never actually given them. I kept waiting for proof that this couldn't work, they admitted, and maybe I was ignoring every reason it could. Their friend asked what would happen if you did have concerns about the age difference. Your soulmate paused, then gave an answer far different from the fearful person who had started the conversation. Then I want to hear those concerns from them. I don't want fear speaking for either of us anymore. And with that, something important changed. Your soulmate finally stopped editing the message. They looked at what they had written and realized a text could never carry everything that needed to be said. So they erased the longest section and replaced it with something much shorter. There's a conversation I owe you, and I don't want to hide from it anymore. Their friend asked if they were really going to send it. Your soulmate stared at your name for several seconds, then said, yes, but when we talk, I'm telling them everything. Not just why your age frightened them. Not just how much time they regretted losing. They intended to reveal what they truly wanted from you and finally ask what you wanted instead of assuming the answer. But just before they touched the screen, their friend asked one last question. and if they tell you they still want you after everything? Your soulmate's eyes filled again.